For this quick assignment, we're going to be using PIXLR X, and I want you to open up a photo that you have taken that you can combine with either an inspirational quote or a song lyric. And I want you to think about how the photo that you choose needs to go along with the quote or song lyric that you choose. Please make sure that if you're choosing a song lyric, the section of the lyric that you have chosen is school appropriate. I'm going to click on Open Image. And I'm going to use this photo that I took while I was on a hike, and I'm going to use a nature quote with it. So first thing that you need to do is decide if you need to do any editing or cropping or effects or filters on your photo. To crop your photo, you would use the crop tool here. This would decide if you want to crop it maybe into a square shape. I kind of like the way that mine looks, so I'm not going to crop it. So I am going to leave it as is. And then think about if you need to do any adjusting. Okay, so to adjust, you could play around with if you want it black and white or not. You could play around with vibrancy, saturation, temperature, if something is a warmer color or cooler color, tint, hue. Brightness and contrast is something that you definitely might want to explore, playing with the brightness, exposure, contrast, things like that. The blacks, the whites, what you want emphasized. If you want to add highlights or shadows or play around with those editing details, this is where you can do that. Okay, when you are looking at filters, if you decide to put a filter on your photo, remember we've talked about vignettes, we've talked about how to do bloom, glamour, posterize. Make sure that if you're adding a filter, it is enhancing your photo and not taking away from it. You can look at effects as well. Effects are basically going to give you an overall filter to your photo. So for example, if I were to click colors, I would see here what it would do to my photo. And depending on your quote, you might want to play along with effects. The final thing that you're going to want to do when you are done adjusting or adding effects or filters to your photo is to add text. So if I click on this text tool, I'm going to add new text. PIXLR kind of already fills it out for you with a random quote, but you can just erase that and type in your own quote. Make sure that you are giving credit to who said the quote. So I'm going to type in, every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks. And that is a quote on more. So I am going to make sure that I give credit. I want to make sure that I spelled everything right. You might want to spell check, maybe in a Google Doc that uses spell check. Align and case. Okay, this is going to tell me if I want my text aligned to the left, centered, right, capital, lowercase and capital. I like a center. If I want my text italicized or blurred. And I'm going to choose a font. Choose a font that you think goes with your quote or song lyric or photo. Choose one that you think aesthetically goes well with it. Let's see, I will just choose, this one for now. Okay, you can play around with color. If you want your text to be a different color, you can play around with that there. You can also play around with size, as well as line spacing, how much space is in between each of your lines. Letter spacing, how much space is in between each letter. Background, outline, and shadow are going to play with the text box. So background is going to give you a background behind. Outline is going to outline the letters. Shadows, going to give you a little bit of a drop shadow. Okay, so once you are done, you can move that text box around if you want it centered in your photo, if you want it just down in one certain spot. I feel like my text might be a little bit hard to read in certain spots, so I'm going to want to play around with where I'm placing it. Once you are done, you are going to save it. remember that your image will be saved somewhere in your downloads so that you are able to turn it in. We are going to do a mini critique with these, so make sure that it is something that you're proud of and that you want to share.